Hey everyone, happy Wednesday. Welcome back to the weekly live. We are back. I am back doing these weekly lives. I'm just going to give a couple minutes for folks to join us. Please leave a comment and tell me where you are joining in from. I'm so excited to have you here. My name is Bola. I'm the founder and CEO of Clever Finance. We're all about empowering women and our allies to achieve financial wellness and live life on their own terms. And I do these lives every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I took a little break, but I am back to doing them as my schedule permits. So I'm excited to have you here and excited to have you join me. So leave a comment. Tell me where you're joining from. I'd love to know. But today we're going to be talking about how to start a side hustle that can actually boost your income without you needing to have an extra degree or anything like that. So come on in. Tell me where you are joining from. And then we'll dive into our topic. So today we're going to talk about also our savings challenge. So if you joined me last week, you know that one of the things that I want us to do as a community this year or for the indefinite future is to save more money. It is to prioritize saving more money. And so I started a savings challenge with a friend of mine in this money envelope book. And we have been saving spare change, returns if we do not spend our entire grocery budget, if we get a refund, whatever it might be, money that we just have as extra, we're putting aside. And so last week I shared that I had started this on April 15th and I had saved $800. So I have been able to add an extra $100 to this savings challenge. And so I want to encourage folks to join me. It's so cool to see all this little bits of cash in here. I want to encourage you to join me on this challenge as well. This is money that you can put towards starting a savings account, emergency savings, investing, whatever your goal might be, a vacation. And it's just a great way to build the habit of saving or to save extra. This book is linked in the show notes below. In the description below if you want to get it, as well as these stickers. These are faith-based stickers that I have that I like to use to decorate my journals and stuff. And so they're all linked in the description below. And this book comes with guides on different ways you can save. So there's this 100 envelope challenge that lets you save $5,000. I did the 30-day challenge first and I saved 300. And now I'm doing the 52-week challenge, but I'm doing it, I think, on a bit of an accelerated pace where I may be saving more than $50 every single week. So you basically pick what's going to work for you, the amount that's going to work for you, but the goal is just to save. And you don't have to use a savings book or envelope method. You can use a specific savings account and do your transfers, but the goal is to save. And so if you decided to do this challenge with us last week, please tell me how much you have been able to save. If you opened your account, I would love to know. Hi, Tammy. How are you? Thanks for tuning in. Hello, Wonder. How are you? I feel like the comments are coming in. There's a little bit of a delay here. So before we get into it, if you haven't already subscribed to the Clever Girl Finance newsletter, please do. We send out this newsletter every week on Tuesdays. It has a ton of motivational content, tips, what's going on in personal finance that we'd love to share with you. And it's just one way to stay connected with the Clever Girl Finance community. So like I said, this newsletter goes out every week and we just share tips, motivation, and it's a way to help you stay accountable as well. So you can subscribe at clevergirlfinance.com/subscribe. Okay, so let's get into our topic today. And today we're talking about how to start a side hustle that boosts your income, no extra degree required. So I have two monitors here and I have my notes on this other monitor. But the question that people often ask me is, well, how do I come up with my side hustle idea? How can I start a side hustle? What should I start? And I always tell people to start with what you are good at and you enjoy doing. That's a good place to start. So if there is something that you get complimented on, if there's something that you do really well, start there and start exploring side hustles around that. So you can ask yourself things like, what skills or talents come naturally to me? Or what do people most often ask me for help with? And what kind of work could I do even if I wasn't paid, at least at first? So these questions can help you really narrow down, okay, What do I do well? What do people always ask me about? What don't I mind doing? Forget about money. This could be the beginnings of the idea for a side hustle. And so you want to start with what you are good at and what you enjoy doing. Hi, Andrea. It's been a while. Welcome. Hello, Sadie Scent Room. Welcome. Hi, Tilly. So, when it comes to thinking about how you come up with a side hustle, those are the questions I want you to ask yourself, right? So, again, think about what you're good at and what you enjoy doing. Now, when it comes to side hustles, there are so many different spaces that you could start a side hustle in. And one thing I want to highlight is that starting your side hustle does not have to be complicated or complex or overwhelming. Because this is a side hustle, something you're doing on the side, it's okay to simplify this. And so when it comes to ideas and things you might be good at doing or things you enjoy doing or things people compliment you on, there's a bunch of different examples, and I'm going to go over just a few of them to help you start thinking about ideas for possible business options. I miss you too, Andrea. It's so glad to have you back. Hi, Heather. I'm so glad to be back too. Okay, so when it comes to examples of side hustles, a very popular category is food-based businesses. So think about things like catering for events, baking, cakes or snacks, if that's something you're good at, or even meal prep or personalized cooking services. I've seen a lot of people that I know order on a weekly basis from a caterer food to put in the freezer for their house, like meal prep, meal planning food. They pick up soups and stews and like base foods or foundational foods and stuff that they can add on to during the week for on a weekly basis or a bi-weekly basis. This is a real business model. And so if you are someone who enjoys that food space, baking, cooking, catering, these are things that you can explore. The other type of business is creative skills. So are you someone who is creative? Are you a creative type of person? You can think about doing things like graphic design. So for example, logos or social media. There's so many small businesses on social media that need help creating their social media content, the design, graphics wise. You can think about photography or doing video editing. Fun fact about me is that before I started Clever Girl Finance and at the beginning of starting Clever Girl Finance, my side hustle was as a lifestyle and wedding photographer, and I made a lot of money doing that. And I built up my skill by learning on my own, by networking with other photographers, by second shooting for more experienced photographers for free as I built up my own skill and my own portfolio. So those are things that you can consider when it comes to that creative space. Hi, Karen. Hello, beautiful soldier. Thank you for being here. I'm excited. This is your first live. Hi, Beverly. Hi, Donna. So, by the way, did any of you have side hustles that you are actively working or side hustle ideas you are exploring? Share them in the chat. I would love to know. And if you're just tuning in and you participated you joined our savings challenge last week, let me know how well you have done with saving money, how much you have saved, what your savings goal is. Put that in the comments as well so I can see it. Okay, so then back to ideas for a side hustle. Something else you can do are service-based businesses. So think about things like tutoring or childcare or being a virtual assistant or doing home organization or errand running. These are service-based side hustles that you can do to bring in that extra income. And so which one of these things resonates with you when you think about a service-based business? Even cleaning services, home clean out, home decluttering services. The virtual aspect of service-based business is very popular. A lot of small businesses need virtual assistants, schedulers, calendar management. So these are all things that you can start to explore to determine if this is going to be a suitable side hustle for you. Hi, Salome. So Karen, you said that you're working on a part-time retail job on the weekends. And so yes, working part-time could be also another way to bring in extra income. So if you do not want to get into starting a business, a website, etc., you can find a part-time job. So Karen, that is amazing. Salome, you said you're doing pet sitting, but it's not as busy as you wish it was. I on my street see a pet walker every single day with like 5 or 6 dogs. So in addition to pet sitting, could you add on pet walking? Or even I just recently got a dog. He is a Frenchie, and I do have a pet sitter. And one of the services she offers is taking the pet to vet visits, or taking the pet to play dates. I haven't tried that, but that's just something that's part of her pet sitting, pet walking business. And so something to think about, since you said pet sitting in particular is not as busy. um Beautiful Soul, you said you used to tutor copyright workshop, but it wasn't consistent, it was always one off. I can get how when you start a side hustle, things might not be consistent. And it's also okay, depending on the schedule you have and how much time you have, to have more than one side hustle, or like Karen is doing, getting a part-time job. Hi Kai, joining from OKC. So we just talked about food-based businesses, creative businesses, service-based businesses. Another thing could be resale, or businesses that have low overhead. So think about selling things that you own in your home but you don't use. Think about your kitchen closets, your garage, your kids items, clothes in your closet that still have tags on, appliances, electronics. These are all things that you can list on Facebook Marketplace, on eBay, on Poshmark, whatever specific sites you're familiar with, to try to sell those items to bring in some cash. So a side hustle doesn't always have to be a full business, right? Again, you can sell things that you already own but don't need. You can offer a one-time service to someone for something to bring in some extra cash. For example, a side hustle, a temporary side hustle could be hosting garage sale. So you clean out all these things you want in the clutter, and you spend a weekend hosting this garage sale to bring in some extra money. Or, one-time service-based job could be creating a batch of, if you're great at graphic design, creating a batch of social media images for someone, and they pay you once for it, and then you do it as you have time. Or it could be babysitting for someone, or childcare for someone temporarily. It doesn't have to be a full-blown business, so you don't start feeling overwhelmed. A lot of times when people think about side hustles, they think that, oh my goodness, I have to do all these different things to set up my business, that they get so caught up in that they never actually they never actually start their business. So remember, you don't need to have a full-blown business to start your side hustle. Thank you about the Frenchie. He is a cute nuisance. That's what I will say. He is a puppy. DL, you said you have a CDL license but don't have a truck. I like to drive, but the cost of equipment is very high. I also bought a lot of music creation software, but I don't know how to make money in music. So one idea regarding your truck license is, could you drive for a company, a trucking company who needs drivers, as opposed to you taking on that expense of owning your own truck? Something to think about. So I have a friend who has a trucking company, and she's always looking for a driver. She owns her trucks, but she's always looking for drivers. So that's something to keep in mind as a part-time job, a side hustle. And then when it comes to music creation, there are websites like Adobe Stock and other sites, Descript, that will buy stock music that other creators license to use in their YouTube videos, on their podcasts. So start exploring sites like Adobe Stock, Descript. Do a Google search on sites that buy um, royalty-free music, or need royalty-free music. I don't know if that's the exact name, but there definitely is a space for people who create music and sell it to these platforms that license them to other people to use for their small businesses. So that's something else to explore as well. Okay, so we talked about resale and low overhead businesses. Another business idea category is handmade and DIY products. So for example, if you're good at making stuff like jewelry or candles or planners or journals, Etsy is a great place for handmade products. I love Etsy. We've all been on Etsy. There are lots of people who create all kinds of incredible things on Etsy. I've bought things for my kids' birthday parties, like sets of like cake toppers and like table decor and things like that, like little popcorn holders from sellers on Etsy who just create handmade party supplies, as an example. Jewelry creators, so many things that people create on Etsy. So just go onto that website and look at the different categories. And if you're someone who loves to create things on your own, maybe there is a category in there that fits into what you do, that you can open a store, even knitting scarves and hats, making baby items, selling vintage clothing. There is Etsy is a great platform to do that. You can also do things like create digital templates and downloads. You can sell those on Etsy or other platforms as well. So printables, printable planners, printable checklists, and it could be in all kinds of categories. It could be in home organization, in cooking, meal planning, recipes, personal finance, business. You can create all kinds of printables, downloads, planners, checklists that can help people in these different niches who are running businesses or just needing to stay organized at home or pursue goals. So Etsy is another really great place, again, to buy those printables. And then also decor items, right? A lot of people want to have unique decorations in their home, and Etsy is another great place. You can even sell what you create on eBay and etc. So handmade and DIY products are a great place to start a side hustle if that's something that you're interested in doing. Let me look at the comments again. Andrea, yes, you were supposed to be knitting me a scarf. It's been like 2 years now. But yes, that is a great, whatever handmade products you can make, that is a great side hustle to consider. And then the one that was just mentioned, I believe it was, somebody just mentioned this in the comments, Beautiful Soul. So freelance services, freelance work. So you talked about copywriting workshops, writing, editing, proofreading for businesses, for individual business owners, for companies, websites like Fiverr, Upwork. You can find opportunities there like that. Social media management is another type of freelance work where you can manage social media for a bunch of different companies. So my virtual assistant has a social media management business, and she manages social media for a few other companies. And what she does for them is she can create the graphics, she uploads them, she comments, she looks at the analytics to see what's working, etc. So that is another freelance opportunity that you can explore if that interests you. Web design or SEO services. So you can do web development, help people create content that can be found on Google. Even though AI is impacting SEO search now, content is still valuable. You can help people with writing for their newsletter, for their website, for their social media. And again, platforms to find work like this is Fiverr, Upwork, TaskRabbit, freelancer.com. People say, well, what's the point of offering freelance content services if AI is taken over? And I always tell people that AI does not replace human engagement and human touch. And so people, business owners like myself, are still looking for individuals to do certain types of work in the content space because AI just doesn't cut it. And so it is not a DL, you said Andrea forgot. Andrea said she's still learning how to make this scarf. Everybody's full of excuses here. I want my scarf. You haven't even asked me what colors I want. I love you, Andrea. And so going back to what I was saying, freelance work is definitely still very, very valuable. And so, yes. Holly, you said, I've created some things on Etsy, but haven't gained any traction. How do we find products that may gain more traction? So Etsy is a great place to do research. I would say spend some time looking at other product makers in your niche on Etsy that have big stores and just look at the type of products they're offering. Look at how they're pricing their products. Look at what packages they may have. Look at what, offers they make around shipping. Look around, look at what deals they offer, right? Look at the comments people are leaving about how much they love their products and see what you can glean from that. And that can help you get some ideas about, okay, how do I better fine tune my products or create my products differently? And it could also be just a bit about marketing your business, which I'm going to talk about next. Andrea, you said I get what I get. I said mustard color. Yeah, you know what? Mustard is my favorite color. So maybe one of my favorite colors. So maybe I did tell you that. Anyway, I want my scarf. I want to wear it on my neck on one of these live videos by the time the fall comes around. Okay, so now let's talk about marketing your side hustle, because it's one thing to come up with your idea and determine what you want to do, but Holy Karaoke said you want to be able to get people to buy your product, right? So again, this is a side hustle. This is not your full-time job. This is not your main source of income right now. And so what are some ways that you can market your side hustle without overwhelming yourself and without feeling like this is not sustainable? And so start off with your circle of people, of friends. So text your friends, DM your friends. Word of mouth is so powerful. When I first started Clever Girl Finance, this was a side hustle. I was working full time and I had another business, which was my photography business. And I just told all my friends what I was doing with my photography and with Clever Girl Finance. And they would follow me on social media and get to learn more about, what I was doing. They would see my pictures, my portfolio, and people spread word of mouth. Oh, did you know that Bola was a wedding photographer? Oh, you're having a baby. You know that Bola can do your baby pictures. Oh my goodness, you're trying to create a budget. Check out Clever Girl Finance. So start with your circle. Don't be shy. Tell them what you're doing. Tell them what you're creating, and they can help you amplify your business. Hi Trisha, thank you for joining. Happy summer, happy hump day. Okay. And then also, if you are on social media, use your existing social media to share what you're doing and use hashtags depending on what platform you are, because people do search hashtags. So sometimes social media, especially Instagram and TikTok, can act as search engines because people will type in the phrase or the text or the hashtag and it'll pull back results. So you share what you're working on with your side hustle on your existing social media. And one thing I always tell people, that when it comes to business and promoting your business, it's not always about buy, right? Because people are like, oh, all she does is sell. Explore showcasing on social media more about what your business is about. Share the behind the scenes, share what you're working on, share yourself if you're okay being visible and showing yourself as the face of your business. Just show your human side and the side that makes you likable, because a lot of times when people buy products, especially from new businesses, they're buying it because they like the product, but they also really like the founder, or they're inquisitive about the founder, or they have enjoyed what that founder has shared. And then also ask for referrals, right? So ask your friends and family to share your product, give discounts if that's something that you want to offer. Be mindful that you still want to charge what you are worth, but offer a discount that makes sense for you and doesn't make you feel like, oh my God, I'm giving away too much. And then you can do bonuses, right? Incentives, and then think about joining groups, local Facebook groups, community groups, marketplaces where you can share your products. There's so many groups on Facebook where you can share your products as well. There's lots of, I know in New Jersey where I live, there's a lot of like mom communities by zip code. So places like that, if you offer a service, a lot of times moms will come in and say, hey, does anybody know where I can find XYZ, where I can do XYZ. So those are ways in which you can market your business. Um, DL, you said I really want to go into real estate, but that's a big money game and I have no experience and no cash money. So when it comes to real estate, there are many aspects in real estate that you can start a side hustle that don't have to do with you buying a property. You can do property management where you manage rental properties on behalf of other owners. That is a business model. You can do things that support real estate like landscaping, snow cleanup, snow removal. You can get into real estate selling where you become a licensed real estate agent. So do some research online about different side hustles you can set up around real estate without actually having to purchase property, because you need down payments, that can get expensive, you need to qualify for loans, and etc. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to side hustles is, I should have said this at the beginning, but it's really important that if you're choosing to start a side hustle or get a part-time job, that you are intentional about the time you're spending on this side hustle. And this is because your side hustle is going to take time away from you resting, from your self-care, from your family. And so you want to make the time you're spending on this side hustle count. And you want to be intentional about how you spend this money given the sacrifices you're making away from your rest, away from your family, and etc., away from your self-care. So make sure that you're putting the money you earn from your side hustle to good use. Don't waste your time. If I'm going to take time away from not being with my kids, right, from not being with my husband, from not watching Netflix, I want to make sure that whatever I earn, I'm putting it towards good use. And even I have side hustles. So I run CoverGirl Finance as my full-time business. But guess what? I do speaking and I do workshops and I write books. And I have this book called The Side Hustle Guide that talks all about side hustles. So even as a full-time business owner, I have my own version of side hustles of things I do that help create multiple streams of income in my world, in my life, right? In addition to running this content company, I'm writing books, I'm doing speaking, I'm doing workshops, etc. So again, your side hustle doesn't need to be anything elaborate or crazy, but if you're going to spend time working on this side hustle, make sure you're being intentional about that time and being intentional about where you put your money. If you don't already have this book, The Side Hustle Guide that I wrote by CleverWealth Finance, Bola Shokunbi, definitely pick this up. You can find this on audiobook. You can ask your local library to order this book for you. This is one of my favorite books to write because it was an opportunity for me to talk about business. And I go into so much in this book on business based on my experiences and what I've been able to build. Okay, so let me see what's popping in the comments. Hi, Ollie. Thank you, Andrea. Okay, so finally, I wanted to talk about scams. If you are starting a side hustle, I'll tell you right now, there are a lot of scams out there. And so you want to watch out for red flags. Anything that sounds too good to be true, make $5,000 in 2 days with this side hustle, please avoid it. Anyone that's asking you to pay for training to learn how to run a side hustle that again sounds too good to be true, you want to avoid this. And go back to what I said at the beginning. Focus on creating a side hustle that ties into something that you like to do, that you enjoy to do, that you enjoy doing, that you get complimented on. You know, all these promises online can be very sketchy. So you want to be mindful about that. The whole idea of the side hustle is to bring in extra money. So why do you want to pay someone to teach you how to make $5,000 in 2 days? It defeats the purpose, right? And that is definitely a scam. And so you're very mindful. You also want to stick to, if you're doing any like freelance work or leveraging any websites to find gigs, make sure you do your research and you stick to platforms that are reputable and have good reviews and you feel comfortable using them, because there are also a lot of scam websites out there. And then just trust your gut. If something feels off, if something feels too good to be true, it probably is. I cannot tell you how many times people have said, oh, I bought this course to start a side hustle and I realized it was a scam after I gave them $2,000. Oh, I went on this website and I thought I was going to get a job, but instead they took my credit card and they're billing me every month, but I haven't gotten any side hustle gigs. Be very careful. Do your research. Avoid these scams. If it sounds too good to be true, run away and then trust your gut. Hi, Chastity. So that's what I wanted to cover when it comes to starting a side hustle. A side hustle doesn't need to be complex. It doesn't need to be overwhelming. You don't need extra degrees to start a side hustle. The whole idea of a side hustle is to help you bring in additional income, to help you diversify your income streams, and to help you achieve your financial goals, whether it's saving, paying down debt, whatever it might be, saving for a major goal, putting money towards your emergency savings, investing for the future. You want to be mindful that you don't let that income from your side hustle disappear. So again, to recap, when it comes to your side hustle, think about what you're good at and what you enjoy doing. Explore different side hustle ideas to figure out what might work for you. So like I said, food-based businesses, creative businesses, service-based businesses, reselling businesses, handmade and DIY businesses. Oh my God, was that my, this is my new computer, guys. And then also freelance work. These are all, then there's so many different categories of things to do in each of those categories I just mentioned. There's so many different ideas, of things to do in each of those categories I mentioned. And then when it comes to marketing yourself, again, share with your circle, leverage your social media, join communities, tell people what you do, right? Word of mouth is very, very powerful. And so that's what I wanted to highlight today. regarding starting a side hustle and motivating you to start a side hustle. If you have joined this savings challenge, what I do in my book, the goal with Clever Finance this year here on YouTube is to save as much money as possible. I want to empower this community to save money, just to have that financial confidence and financial peace of mind. So I'm saving money with a friend of mine. We're challenging ourselves to save spare change, money we don't spend, money we get back from refunds, etc., and just putting that aside. So far, I've saved $900. If you want to participate with a saving challenge here, all you have to do is join every week and tell me how much you have saved based on your goal. So I don't really have a savings goal, but I started this on April 15th. Today is June 4th, and I have saved $900. I'm excited about that because this is money that would have slipped through my fingers and I wouldn't have known where it went because I wouldn't have even realized I had this as spare change. So this is what I'm doing. So if you want to participate, definitely share in the comments whenever I come on live here on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. And if you haven't already checked out our newsletter, please subscribe. This goes out every single week. And it's, tips, motivation, accountability for you on your finances and to achieve your financial goals. So that's what I wanted to cover today. Did you guys have any ideas for a topic you wanted me to go over next week? Otherwise, I can pick one. But if you do have a topic idea, you can leave it in the comments here live, or you can share it if you're watching the replay. And I'll leverage that as a suggestion for next week's topic. So thank you so much for being here, everyone. I appreciate you. Thank you for spending your afternoon with me. I know this is lunchtime for many people. And I'll be back again next week, Wednesday, 1 p.m. If you cannot join me live, don't worry. This replay will stay on the YouTube channel. And I will talk to you all soon. Yes, Tammy, the replay is going to be right here. No problem. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. I will talk to you next week. Bye. Yes, I'm going to be live every week, Andrea. I am back. I am putting myself to this task. There might be weeks where I cannot do it because of my schedule, but my goal is to be here back every week, Wednesday, 1 p.m. So thank you so much. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you for being here. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.